Welcome to the ADHDoer's story, where we speak to successful people who have ADHD to learn more about their struggles, their journey, and how they got to where they are today. We're speaking with Ryan Hodgson today, who is an online fitness coach and owns his business with his wife. He talks about his mental health and how he had a breakdown about 10 years ago, and how he rebuilt from there to have a successful business, and how he has adapted his way of working to suit his ADHD. Hi Ryan, thanks for being here. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No worries. We're grateful you can be here. So, for anyone listening who doesn't know who you are already, would you mind telling us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Ryan Hodgson. I'm a fitness business owner. I've got a boot camp, a health club, and an online fitness business. And I'm a dad of two, married to my business partner, who's also my best friend, and I half joke she's my full-time carer as well.
I love that. How is she your carer as well?
I think she half jokes like I'm like her third child. I think there's a lot of my personality traits where she at times does have to mother me a little bit, but we it works.
Now, I'm being a bit cheeky, but is that because you're a man or is that because you have ADHD?
A bit of both. I think it's definitely there is definitely a little bit of both there. I think it's one thing that she there's so many traits what I can see now. I was only diagnosed last year, but there's so many traits that I seem to have that have been prevalent in our relationship that now it's like, oh, it makes sense. So I think previously we thought maybe I think it was probably we thought I was a bit lazy, but I just generally couldn't get these things, and that's the way it worked. And eventually, going down a diagnosis route, it started to make things make sense, so that we could help without her feeling like she was nagging as well, because it was as much about her understanding and knowledge more than mine at times.
Yeah, it definitely brings more understanding once you have that kind of keyword. You're like, oh, that's why I'm doing that. That's why I'm not doing that, etc. And you can explain it to other people better as well. So it's good that she's compassionate about it as well.
Definitely, I wouldn't always say she's patient, but she's definitely, yeah, one in a million for me anyway.
Oh, that's so cute. She'll be listening to this like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, or she'll be like cringe.
Oh, maybe. So you said you were only diagnosed last year, was it?
Yes. Yeah, so I think I've been through a bit of a traumatic time with my mental health, and I think it took to last year. We went away on like a trip. It was like a week trip, but 3 days of it was business. And because my wife's also my business partner, she's a glutton for punishment. Then we had 4 days, which was supposed to be all about us enjoying ourselves. But when we were on this trip, the work side of things, we had, I think it was like 6 pages of notes of things that we needed to go and do. And when I over exaggerate, I'm not over exaggerating. I probably had 3 hours of sleep in those 4 days because all I could see was I had to get through this list, and this list needed to be done whilst you're away. And Ellie was like, the list even says things to do when we get back. And I just couldn't see it. And I think we got back from that trip. Ellie was so run down. I hit burnout, and she was like, we need to find out why this is, because there's something not right. And we were like, I think it's just normal, but I can realize afterwards, actually, what I was doing was anything but normal. I was trying to survive on like less than an hour's sleep because all I could think about was this hyperfix of this list that needed to be done there and then, or the world would blow up, even though reality was it could have waited till we got back. So that's what made us go down the diagnosis route. And it was more to sort of try and help me manage it better. I think that was the most important thing. Like I got by all right, like my business has been successful and things like that. But there's also things like if something cropped up with, sorry, I'm talking loads.
Go for it.
If something cropped up like with work, and I'm trying to have time with the family, it's like the kids could be fighting like cat and dog. Ellie's trying to get my attention, but that thing's cropped up. I can't focus on anything else apart from that thing. And it was really impacting like family life and things like that. And we had to try and work out how do we navigate life that I can use my superpower, because I do believe ADHD is a superpower,
Hmm.
but it doesn't have the detrimental effect or impact it was having on my children or on my wife.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, um, who was it that diagnosed you in the end with ADHD?
So I went to my GP, and just explained what I thought I had, explained the symptoms. I think I've always had it. I think going back through my childhood reports, parent feedback, things like that. I've clearly always had it, but back then it wasn't as widely known and looked after. So they then referred me to a specialist. Now in Jersey, where I'm from, it's like a 4.5 year wait list to go public. So
Okay.
there's people over here waiting 4, 5 years and struggling, and I was like, I can't do that. And anyone with ADHD being told to wait 4 years ain't gonna work. So I went down the private route and I went through clinical partners, because even private in Jersey, it was a 6 month wait, and I need clarity now. What's the best way?
Mm.
So we are looking online, went through clinical partners online. They done like a triage call with me. Had to fill in loads of forms. Had to get forms filled in by my mom, by my wife, and then had to give them some of my old reports and things like that. And then I had a psychiatric assessment, which I think was about 2 hours long. But I think it was genuinely when I was speaking to them, because I've got high cholesterol and I've had it for like the last 11 years, and my diet's always been all right. I'm a fitness professional, never really understood why. And he was saying
Hmm.
it's probably because I've had so much internal stress that hasn't been managed in the right way. Um, and I think that when he was describing how I felt, it's the first time I'd probably felt understood. And I just genuinely, I don't know, I was quite emotional when he was explaining it. And then he was like, there's no doubt about it. You've definitely got ADHD. Now it's how do we move to help you improve your life? Because when I spoke to him, it was more about me. The ADHD really, I don't think was a massive surprise, but it was then how do we create an action plan to help me navigate through life where I'm not driving my wife completely mad and I'm not so erratic.
Yeah, but also yourself. Like, obviously, you don't want to drive other people mad, but you don't want to drive yourself mad or to stress either. So, have you seen any improvements in your cholesterol since your diagnosis?
Yes, 100%. So my cholesterol was, I was medicated for it, so it took me off medication. My cholesterol went up, but it is starting to come down now. And I think that a lot of that falls down to I didn't go down the medication route, but we went down a lot more around therapies and a lot more talking. And I think having a more understanding environment helped a lot as well. So in my work, the team that work for me, I've got a virtual assistant who makes my life 10 times easier because I probably drive her mad with 101 things to do, but she understands that's the way Ryan works and she's able to dissect it in the right way. It does make
It's
things much
important.
easier.
Yeah, I think when
I
you
think
have a team of
understanding's key.
people, yeah, exactly. If you have a team of people that are completely different thinkers to you, it's going to be really difficult to gel. But if you get someone that gets you and you don't have to over explain yourself, it becomes a lot easier.
That's it. Yeah. We have this joke now. It's like it's a Ryan thing. And like I'm quite happy to make a bit of fun of myself in the right way. And that's always what they say. Like if there's things that no one else quite understands, but they're like it's a Ryan thing, we get it. Like
So, what kind of therapies are you doing or have you done?
so I done cognitive behavioral therapy pretty much straight afterwards because I'd used that when I suffered with mental health, and that massively, I think, shifted things a lot more about the way that I was thinking. I think a lot of the time was I was causing myself a lot of stress that I didn't really need to do. We've also done a lot of like lifestyle based adaptations. So now I've lived my life by reminders, and I think it drives people mad. But it's like it helps me be on time for things because I was dropping my kids off late to school every day. I'm embarrassed to say it at the time, but like just lose track of time. And I think I'm doing something that was really important, but actually my kids being in time for school is more important than that email that could have waited 20 minutes. So we literally have everything now by timers. And then even now, Ellie's like my manual timer that will remind me of things that needs to be done at the right time. So I would say that's been the biggest thing for me in terms of positive impact in my life is probably learning strategies like being able to we've got technology now that we can use things to help us live life a little bit easier, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more resources and tools, and people are more understanding, and there's more tools being developed as well. So it definitely helps. Um, I had a question and it's gone from my head. So, okay, right, I remembered. So I was going to say, apart from They're like hyperfixating on a thought and rumination and being late. How else has ADHD affected you in your business?
I think the energy and the hyperactivity has been something that I think's helped attract people to me at times when it comes to business and work because I'm the life of the party. I'm very up at, I am probably, a lot of people say I'm intense, probably too much at times, but I think that that's allowed us to help our business go from, just me and Ellie to a team of 13 people and we're helping people across the world. So I think putting myself out there, I think, that's probably I would say that would be the other main thing that's been it. It's probably the hyperactivity of it. I'm able to keep going when I think a lot of other people possibly don't.
That's a good thing to bring to your content as well. Like I've seen your page, you've got really good quality content. And if you are more hyperactive, you have more energy, you bring that to your content. I feel that would attract more people as well to your page, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And I think like once I do have an idea in my head or something, I'm stubborn as well. I think I am so it's not just a hyperfixation, but I have got that I'm not going to give up at something. It was like when I published writ my first book, I've said to myself I was going to go from idea to publishing it within 45 days, and I did. So it made in my head, I knew what I wanted to do, and that's the sort of thing that I do. And that's where I think they always say it's just a Ryan thing. It's like now I couldn't swim 2 months ago, and then I'm now trained to do an Ironman because that's just a Ryan thing. That's what they say. But it's like, if I've got something in my head, and I think half of the time is if someone puts a bit of doubt, it makes me want to prove them wrong.
Yeah, I can see that. In a few people that I know, I see that. And there's almost like two different types of people. So some people I know who have ADHD are like you. And once they get an idea, they're like, I'm executing
Yeah,
this, I'm doing this. And they do it. And then they're
yeah,
like, okay, done. And there's other
yeah.
people like me where you're like, I have an idea and you start doing it and then you never finish it.
Yes, jump to the next idea, next idea.
hmm
I
Yeah.
do think that can be if I don't have, for me, I know if I don't have an interest in something, I will leave a trail of half done jobs. And it's something that was one of the sort of catalysts towards us going to get diagnosed as well. We got back from the holiday and Ellie was like, this isn't right. Look. So then she literally led me around the house of all the half done jobs. So like I would leave the tap running and then I've gone to take the washing out of the washing machine. Then I've got distracted by something outside in the garden. It was literally like that. And I was like, and she's like, can you see why it does drive me mad? She said, I'm not nagging at you, but this is like, I've literally listed 5 things there that I'm having to go around and tidy up after you. We've got 2 kids. Like this isn't right. You're leaving a tap running, that's, that's not really safe. So, it was things like that I could definitely get. It's the distraction I think that I can definitely lose touch of what I was doing, particularly if I don't have that interest in the thing that I'm doing.
And also, if all the things have the same priority level, like doing the dishes,
Yeah.
doing the washing, and all of the chores kind of have the same priority level. So you're like, I don't know what
Yeah.
one to start. And then you see another one, you're like, I'll do that, and I'll do that, and I'll do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
I
it's
have
like,
the
I'll
same
do that
problem.
because I'll forget. And then I forgot the thing that I was doing.
Yep, yep. And you might be doing something slightly more important, but you're like, oh, but if I do forget that one's also important. So I better do that now, halfway through this other
Yeah.
important thing. But the good thing is, with this executive dysfunction of prioritizing and getting distracted and things like that, if you can manage to get all of them done, even if you go in a circle, I feel like that's an accomplishment.
Definitely. And I think that celebrating those little wins has helped as well. It definitely does make a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, rather than being like, oh, I didn't finish one at a time. What I've done for myself is I got slightly better at going in a circle, but I finish all of them, so it's okay.
Yeah. Love it.
Have you found that the CBT has helped with the executive dysfunction or the getting distracted?
I think it's helped with it's definitely helped with the being distracted because it's helped me slow my thoughts down. I think that part of the problem is the mind jumping from thing to thing. And one thing that I still do struggle with now is when people are talking, I can switch and get distracted by something and I'm lost and it comes across rude. And I'm very aware of that, but not at the time. And it's like now we have even like the girl, she's one of my best friends, but she's a manager of our business. She'd have to apologize to people when they've just had a full on conversation with me and I've not taken a word in. And she's like, he doesn't mean it. It's not that he doesn't care. But, I think that's something that I do really, I've found difficult, but it's definitely helped slow my thoughts down. I think being able to take a step back and slow has made a huge difference.
So that's good that you've managed to slow your thoughts down without the medication as well, just by doing the CBT. So that must have taken quite a lot of practice.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of it has also come down to journaling as well. I have been journaling, but I've always journaled, but now I've got a lot more structure to what I'm doing. So like I live my life by lists, and I do find that I feel like the list might not make sense to anybody else, but it makes sense to me. So I've got lists of things that I need to get done, and I've got things that are important, things that I've learned how to prioritize things when I've written them down. I can't prioritize them in my head, but I find when they're written down, I find it a lot easier for me to be able to digest. Actually, that isn't really important right now, even though in my head at the time that was an urgent thing that needed to be done. Otherwise, everything was just going to fail. But I've found that ability has definitely helped because it slows the whole thought process down. I'm not just jumping from that needs to be done, that needs to be done, that needs to be done. It's like, right, let's write down all the things that need to be done. I can visualize them and I almost try and take a step and breathe. All right, what is the most important thing for me to be doing right now?
That's a really good tip for anyone listening, because I don't make lists and I probably should.
I
But
think
it's good
it's
to have
also
it out
like
there.
I heard it goes through the mind twice if you physically write it as well. I've got dysgraphia, so my handwriting is terrible, and I'm probably the only person that can read my own handwriting. But writing it because your brain's connected to your thumb is supposed to mean it goes through the mind twice. It sits a little bit better, and then you're able to, yeah, help make that decision a little bit easier. It doesn't happen overnight. I do think sometimes, like with any sort of strategies or therapies that people follow, it takes time, and I think obviously with ADHD, we want that instant gratification, want that dopamine hit to feel like something was successful, but actually trying to learn to play the long game will make a huge difference.
Yeah, so here's something that I've struggled with, and also some other people I know, is finding one thing that works that will always work. So for example, if I write a list by hand and then leave it on the desk, it might work for a little while and then it doesn't work anymore. It becomes part of the scenery and I don't notice it, and then I have to switch to another method. Do you ever find that?
No, I haven't. I haven't thus far. No, because I've definitely found the list has been the thing that's helped. I do find I can, if it's not on the list, I struggle with the concept of being pulled away from the list. I won't deviate from the list, which is probably where other people find it difficult, particularly running my business, where somebody will come up with something that probably is urgent, but if it's not on the list, I can take a step out and probably pause for a bit, but I probably come across a bit ignorant, borderline rude, because I'm like, I'm not doing it now. It's not on the list, and the list is what I need to work on. And I think that's probably something that I haven't found a successful solution to yet, is being more flexible in what the list and the priorities of things.
So you can't just add it to the list.
Not if it's been thrown at me once. I've got my list of things that I need to do. But it's something that I think now when you say it like that, it sounds so obvious and it sounds sensible. But at the time, when somebody comes up to me and is like, Ryan, we need this doing, I struggle with that.
So do you structure your lists as like, this is my list for today?
Yes. And
Yeah,
that's
okay, I get it.
sometimes a downfall, because if I've got a list of things that need to be done, I will not go to sleep till they're done because I won't be able to sleep until they're done. So we've had to adapt again, probably since the diagnosis, more so adapt my working hours. So we've got a lot of American clients and we're UK time zone. So I was doing a lot of late night calls, but once I'd done a call after that, I then take notes. I then have to do things like we might have to create new workouts. That could take 45 minutes after I've done a call at midnight, and then I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. To me, I wouldn't be able to sleep leaving something. So we've had to adapt my working hours. And I know there's days now where I'm right, I go to bed later, but I get up later to manage it, because I do think sleep and trying to create routine has made a huge difference for me as well. I had for years I fasted in the morning and never really correlated the how much intensity I had when I was fasted. And I think that, like Ellie will say, I'm a nightmare to be around with it because they're definitely my symptoms are more prevalent when I have fasted. So I've found now I've had to force myself to have breakfast, but it has made a huge difference to my my hyperness for sure.
That's super interesting. So you were more hyper with less food in you, basically.
I think when I don't know why I found I fasted for about 8 years and my anxiety was higher as well. Whereas now I've introduced having a breakfast, I'm much more leveled all day. I'm still a lot more hyper than I think most people are, but I'm not the same up where I'm on edge almost. I'm sort of at a more comfortable level, easier to
That's
deal
really
with, as my wife
interesting.
would say as well.
Well, that's good to know because I also don't like eating breakfast. So maybe I should eat
Yeah.
breakfast.
I'm a certified nutrition coach as well, and I was very close-minded to doing it because for me, I have, I can overconsume. So I'm somebody once I've started eating, I could eat and eat and eat all day long. So I always fasted because it meant I could have the big portions. It never impacted my weight. I could stay in good shape and it worked. But I'd never looked at the correlation between how I was on edge a lot more. I definitely was more heightened when I was fasting. And then as soon as the psychiatrist said, "Why do you not have breakfast?" I was like, "I've just not done it for years." He said, "Have you thought about trying to see if that helps improve your symptoms?" It definitely had. As soon as I start fasting, because I do it sometimes when we're away, I notice like I haven't got any fingernails. I've got no skin around my fingernails. And Ellie be like, "You're not eating breakfast." And that it's a running joke where I start the health club early here. Sometimes it's at 5 a.m. I won't eat that early, but Ellie will come in at like half 8, 9 with my breakfast and put it in on my desk. And you can see the staff looking like, why was she doing that? And Ellie will be like, because Ryan will forget to eat, because I do forget to eat. So I do
Yeah.
need reminders.
That is something that a lot of people with ADHD struggle with. Not just the remembering
Yeah.
to eat, but also what you said about the eating big portions. And once you start
Yeah.
eating, you do eat and eat and eat. And that's exactly why I don't want to have breakfast because, A, I feel
Yeah.
a bit sick in the mornings because the rush of cortisol when you wake up kind
Yeah.
of makes me feel a bit sick. And then secondly, because if I start eating, I'm going to get hungrier again and I'm going to eat and
Yeah.
eat and eat. And it's also partly to do with the dopamine. So you want to eat
It's like
big
that opening
portions
the
because you're getting
floodgates,
a
isn't
lot of, yeah, exactly. And I feel
it?
cheated if I don't have a big dinner. So
Yeah, that's
for
it. And that's
me,
exactly the way that I felt, but it has made a difference. I've just found now I don't snack. So I have my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner. So it's meant I've had to slightly reduce what is my lunch that was previously my breakfast down, but it has made a huge difference to me. I'm definitely easier to be around.
that's a good adaptation. And it kind of speaks to how important the mind and gut connection is as well, because I know people get hangry if they're really hungry, but it's interesting to know it would give you more hyperactivity as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think the big thing for me was being open to trying different things as well. I think that a lot of people will look down and when they're diagnosed and think they all have to follow the exact same route. And I think a big part of me was finding strategies that work for me. And we're all unique. We've all got different challenges. It's like I've got two daughters now, and I think that they will have ADHD, but they present very differently. It's the emotional deregulation that they really struggle with, and then I'm finding like the sleep with my youngest is very very challenging, and it's something that me and my wife are like, do we need to get her diagnosed or not? At the moment, I'm like, sometimes I worry if they are given that label too early, it makes it more of a challenge. Whereas I'm like, actually, I got to 33 without being diagnosed and I did all right. I think now they pick up on these things in school more and are able to help them learn without a diagnosis or not, So I think that that's quite important is being open to sometimes, even if you don't have a diagnosis, but you experience a lot of symptoms, you can still modify your life to cater for those symptoms without having a diagnosis or not, particularly with most of the Western world with such long wait lists now for these diagnoses. Actually, unless you're going to go down the medicated route, you could probably start making these lifestyle adaptations and getting the support network around you to understand your symptoms are part of you, whether they're ADHD or not. You still want to be able to live with them.
That's so true. And there's nothing stopping you from researching around it yourself and noticing what symptoms you have, what issues you struggle with, and then looking into how do I improve that one particular thing. So that is something that you could always teach your daughters as well without having a label.
That definitely, and that's what we're trying to work with now. And I think that I sometimes feel like the bad dad because I feel like I have to, particularly my youngest, have to shout at her a lot more. And I'm like, I need to learn. Actually, no, I need to not be shouting so much. She's probably not going to present that well because then that's when the emotional deregulation struggles. She's then crying. It does become a lot more of a struggle. Whereas actually, if I could learn to meet her on her level and understand actually she doesn't learn that way, we need to adapt the way that we're parenting. I always say, like, I often say, I need to look in the mirror, not at her when something goes wrong.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. There's a friend I have, and their daughter also has potentially ADHD, and they were saying that you don't necessarily need a diagnosis. In the UK schools, if you say, I suspect my child has
Yeah.
ADHD, you can still get the support for them that they would need in their learning style. So that is also another option as well. If you didn't want to go down the diagnosis route, just teach your children about the different sorts of symptoms they might be experiencing, but also tell the teachers that you suspect it. You could even tell them that you're thinking of getting a diagnosis or you're going down the diagnosis route. But as we know, because it's so long, they'll still give support regardless.
Oh, it's interesting. I didn't know that. That's really good.
I didn't know that till the other day, so it's good timing.
Yeah.
So with your business, you said that your wife is your business partner. Was that always the case from the start?
I've been self-employed for the last 14 years. We've had our business now for about 10. I don't know if it's completely linked, but I had a mental health breakdown after we got married. We'd had our first daughter. And this is probably where I think probably was linked to lack of understanding. I crashed, wanted to give everything up. So we ended up leaving Jersey and I threw my previous business, which was a very successful boot camp business, away. We moved away and I like my wife saved me basically. She left our family. We moved to Liverpool. We knew nobody to get me back. Had to rebuild myself and we then started to build our online business. And that's when we started. So that was probably about 10 years ago now that we've been working together. Back before that, she didn't have to go back to work when we had our kid because my business could provide the life that we wanted. But she had a passion for health and fitness, so she'd done all of her qualifications while she was pregnant with our firstborn. And then I do think people will often say we're like the yin and yang. So like I think I'm a million miles an hour. I want to go in all in with everything, and Ellie reined me back a little bit to make sure we're making rational decisions and ones that I probably would have made if I'd been forced to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask that actually because you must be good together if she's your best friend and your business partner. You must complement each other quite well with your strengths and weaknesses.
100%. I think like when I first met Ellie, she was very, very low in confidence. And I think that I've helped bring her confidence out, but she's also helped slow me down a little bit. I think back then as well, I probably had a bit of an ego that's probably been slowed down a little bit as well and recognized actually, I need to be on a level and it's definitely made a huge difference to us. Yeah.
Can you explain that a bit more about the ego? Because I know some listeners won't really understand what that means.
I think I've always stood out a little bit. I think because it's probably the hyperactivity. It's like Ellie will half joke. We'll see teachers that taught me 25, 30 years, I'm showing my age now, years ago, and they remember me. And he's like, how do your teachers from 30 years ago remember you? I was just the loud kid. That was just always me. And that's always stayed the same. I joined the army and I was the loud one that joined the army and one who always getting into a little bit of trouble. Nothing like serious, but just mischievous. I think it was just because I stood out. And I think that then that got to a level where I had a very successful business. I came from having nothing and I had a successful business. And then I would buy things to impress people that I didn't even like on the internet. So like Ellie was like 7 months pregnant and I went and bought a Range Rover, put it on Facebook before even properly showing her the car. to impress people online. You know, like I cringe when I think about it now, and I feel physically sick that that was me. But back then, that was the kind of guy I was, and I think that it took a lot for her to try and not knock it out of me, but help me see my flaws in that. You know, I was like, why did I need to do that? You know, who was I really showing off to? People I didn't even care about when I had a heavily pregnant wife that was now stressed. And why is my husband buying this expensive car just before I about to give birth? But at the time, I didn't see that. You know, I do have like the impulsivity with the shopping as well. I think she helps rein me in a little bit with that because we half joke every day's Christmas for me because we're getting Amazon deliveries that I can't remember what I ordered. So, you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
it doesn't help if you're sleep deprived as well.
that's it. It's like, and I think literally like we have a running joke, and that's why I said about before we went on this about my phone for the camera because we've got about 70 tripods because I'll see a different tripod, a different angle, and we always have this joke that how many tripods does one person need? But I'll see it, and I'm like, I'm a sucker for good marketing, and I buy it and forget that I ordered it. It's from somewhere on the other side of the world and took 2 weeks to come down. Right? Oh, I forgot I ordered that.
I've done the exact same thing. I've literally got a tripod there, a tripod there, a tripod in my gym bag. I'm like,
It's an
but it's a
ADHD
different one.
thing. They
It's
are, yeah.
just slightly different.
I agree.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if they're slightly different, I get it.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing with like anything though. There's always just a slight variation. You're like, I could do that. I could have
That's
that.
it.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's just
I
slightly
need I
better than
need
the one
that.
I have. Yes, so I need that one.
Yeah.
It's like this one has a big ring light. That one has two small ring lights. The other one has no ring
Yeah.
lights. They're not
Yeah,
the
we've got a
same.
few of them. No, they're not.
As much as I don't want to say how many headphones I have, I have quite a lot of headphones as well. But yeah, the impulsivity is quite difficult. What I do is I tend to put things in the basket and then not check them out. And then I forget about them. So I'm like, I really didn't need it anyway. If I don't forget about it, I'm like, okay, I needed that. I will buy that. If I forget
Yeah.
about it and then I go back to the cart one day and I'm like, why is that in there? Then I did the right thing and I didn't buy it.
That's a good idea. I need to work on that.
It's worked for me. So especially on like Amazon, for example, or Shein as well. Oh, there's so many things that I'd like. Oh, I like that skirt. I like that shirt. Blah, 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 and then just put them all in the basket and then don't check it.
Yeah.
One day, maybe one day I'll be like, actually, I do
Yeah.
need some clothes now. But it's good that she helps you rein that in. And obviously with the ego as well has helped you with that. Have you found that you're happier at all since kind of improving the ego?
Definitely. I think I'm happier in myself. I'm not trying to impress anybody else. And I think that when I suffered with my mental health back, it was like 9, 10 years ago. I don't think many people spoke about it as much. And it's funny, we had like an event, and this all boils down to the whole ego thing. I didn't tell anyone. I was going through counseling at the time. I was getting a lot of support to work on it. And I'd done about 6 months of counseling, like 2 or 3 times a week at the start, down to once a week. And we had a big white collar boxing event that we used to run with my old business. And I remember getting up in front of like 800 people, and we had like channel television there. And I said to him, look, I want to share my journey because we're supporting a mental health charity that have helped me. And he was like, you sure you want to do that? And I was like, yeah. So I shared that, and the amount of people that came out to me who'd said like at the end of it, how much it had given them confidence to then go and get help. I've also found the same now when I got the diagnosis of ADHD and I've started talking more about it, the amount of people who've come out and started saying, "Do you know what, you've made me feel more normal." And I think that that's all anybody really wants, is to feel normal and feel accepted. But I was doing it the wrong way. I was doing it of being liked or accept. I was thinking I was being liked, but I was just getting the likes on social media through people that I didn't really know or like. That was giving me a false perception that I was liked when actually they probably liked the false me. And now I've noticed my circles are so much smaller, but I'm content. I've got I've got a very small group of friends that hand on heart could rely on at any time, any day, that I'm happy. Yeah, I definitely think it's made a huge difference to my life being comfortable where I'm at.
That definitely comes with age as well, I think, when your circle starts to get smaller because you know who you are. You're not trying to please
Yeah,
everyone all the time. And it's a big thing, people pleasing and having low self-worth as well with ADHD. And then
yeah,
you just want to do everything for everyone to be like me, because you don't
yeah.
feel like you're likable at like a really deep level.
No, and I think that now social media has made that even more of a challenge because we're just seeing everybody's ideal, what they want to present to the world. And I think that that makes us somebody who is at home, possibly struggling to be completely themselves and be open with who they are, is seeing someone else's ideal, and then they'll feel like they're not able to live up to that or match up to that. When it's like, actually, you don't need to match up to that. That you don't even know if that's the real them.
Yeah, like seeing people's Range Rovers and being like, I can't afford that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Cringe. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to on my stories post more about like when I'm having a bad day because I get a lot of messages from people saying, "Oh, thanks for sharing that," because it's nice to know that
Yeah.
it's not just me who has bad days. Like the other day, I was like, I was very, very, very close to having a mental breakdown just because of a few small things that built up. And
Yeah.
that's the part of the ADHD where you just get overstimulated, overwhelmed, and it was just momentary. I thought I'd share it because then people can see it does happen. And I'm a mental health coach. I'm not a perfect person. Nobody's perfect. I have a lot of flaws. But some people will look at me and be like, oh, she's got it all together. And I'll be like, actually, no,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Here is
definitely agree
why.
with that. I think people do like that openness and seeing people's flaws a little bit, don't they? It definitely helps them realize we're all human at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's important to show all the sides of yourself. And it also like builds trust and it builds rapport with people as well. And it makes them feel like it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to share sides of yourself that aren't perfect and that are not the most positive thing in the world. But to be honest, I feel like everyone gets sad and it's so judged. But being sad is actually quite normal. So if you
Yeah.
did share it, is it even a vulnerable thing to share that you're sad, or should it just be a fact, you know?
Yeah, because I've also found that you start to recognize, like, when you do share something, a little bit of vulnerability on social media, the amount of people who generally care and want to help, want to support, you actually realize, there's obviously there's strength in numbers as well, because then they realize, oh, actually, I felt like that as well, and you realize you're not alone in these type of situations. Whereas when you possibly want to share your wins or you want to share the good stuff, you might get people like it, but you're never going to get the same level of interaction, connectivity with people, I think, which is what I think social media is all about. You don't get that same level of connectivity when you put the wins out there because you've got some people who will like it but don't properly read or listen to what you're saying. You get some people who probably say, oh, he's bragging again, there's his ego coming back, and they do that. So I definitely can agree with that.
Yeah, and when you're more authentic, you attract people that will want your services more and will gel with you better, and even your ideal clients are more likely to come to you because you're being yourself. But if you're trying to put on a front and you're trying to play a role, you're going to attract people that are attracted to that version of you, which isn't
Yes.
necessarily who you're going to be all the time.
Yeah. And then trying to live up to that is exhausting as well.
Yeah, that's the masking. It takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Would you say that's something that you did in your first business that you mentioned?
Yes, definitely. I was putting on a mask, and I think I actually got to the point when I was at my worst where I was still every day presenting. Like, I think people were so surprised when I came out about mental health, but I had this, I couldn't get out of bed when I didn't need to for work, but work was my thing. And it's like Ellie used to always say, everyone else is getting the best you. And I remember being in bed and it was like a weekend, so I didn't have to go to work. And my youngest was like, why is daddy always sad? And I think that that was one of the sort of things that made me realize I needed to change something. Like, actually, the people we love, the people around us, they should get the best version of us, not everybody else. So now, I mean, everyone just gets the same version of me now, but it definitely does make that really was something that was exhausting me, was the getting up every day, trying to paint a smile on my face that I was all right when really I wasn't, and trying to impress everybody that I didn't even like, to be honest.
That is an amazing sign of growth, though, that everyone gets the same version of you now. It's like that mask has dropped, the ego has cracked, and you can just be yourself, which is really important. And a lot of people do struggle to do that as well.
Yeah, I definitely think I think a lot of that falls down to finding yourself and feeling comfortable with yourself. It probably comes a little bit of age as well, but also doing a lot of personal development, deeper work on yourself can make that huge difference. Because I've done a lot of like who I want to identify as, who do I want to be, and that's the person, the version that I'm working towards. So like a lot of people say, oh, what do you do? For me, what I want to be is I want to be the best role model for my kids. So everything that I do needs to embody that. If I'm not doing that, I'm not living to what I want to be and who I want to be. So it helps me make better decisions when I am struggling or I am finding things different. I'm like, well, what would I want them to do? How can I show them the best path? And I think that's made a huge difference.
That's how you manifest as well. So you
Yes,
almost, you envision who you want to be and you borrow the energy from the future you, and then you start living it now. So that's the way you're going to get down that path. You make the same decisions that that version of you
yeah,
makes, and you embody those decisions, you embody those actions, those habits, that daily routine. And that's how you will manifest what you want in life. But if you start making different decisions to the person you want to be, you're just going to end up on a different path.
definitely. And I also think another part of it is like when you are 100% yourself with everybody, it is you don't need to overthink it because you're just being yourself. There's no act, there's no pretenses. It's like I think sometimes it can be deemed a flaw, but if I don't like somebody, it's quite clear because I can't hide it. I'm always polite, I'm always civil, but you can probably tell quite quickly if I don't like them, and it's just because that's who I am. So it's not exhausting. So I'm not putting on a front. I'm not trying to put an act on. That person probably doesn't like me either, but we're polite, we're civil. It doesn't mean you need to, not everyone is going to be our friend. Not everyone is going to like everybody, but it doesn't mean we don't need to be polite. So I've definitely found that I'm free. Where even like I think even like Ellie will openly admit she wants to like everybody and wants everyone to like her. So she'll be a lot more having those conversations with people where I'll be like, I've said like, I'm walking on now, and like they're not someone I want to have a conversation with.
I find that a lot of people who are dropping the mask are the same as you, and they will be civil, but they're like, I've got no energy for you because I don't like
Yeah,
you.
that's
So it's
that's
almost like,
exactly it.
yeah, you can just see it and you can tell. And I feel like
Yeah.
we almost emit an energy of, oh, I don't like you.
Yeah. And that's it. Even the team will be like straight away to someone who will be out and seeing, they'll be like, you don't like that person, do you? I'm like, how can you tell? I'm like, you just can tell because you didn't want to have a conversation. You made it quite clear, you're polite, but carried on with your day. And it's no
Those
one's rent
one
free
word
in my mind.
answers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how are
That's
you?
it.
Good.
Yeah.
And that's it. Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. Nailed it.
Well, how else do you think your life has improved since getting your diagnosis?
I think it's brought more. It's helped me form tighter relationships with the people around me. I feel like I found my tribe. It sounds cringing. I feel a bit emotional thinking about it, but I think if I look back to like before I got diagnosed, I was a little bit lost, if I'm honest. I had my wife, she's my best friend, but I didn't really feel like I had a circle. But I feel like now I'm understood. I've been able to be 100% authentic myself. And now I feel like I have those people that they're my forever people. Like I believe the circle I have now, they're small, but in 20, 30 years time, as I grow old, they're going to be people that will be in my life further forwards. I think that that's probably the biggest thing for me.
I love that. So it's like your tribe of compassionate people who understand you. They're willing to give you the time and the patience that you need. And that's really important when you're especially going through this as well, because if you've only known for a year, you're still kind of learning and understanding yourself. So the fact that they're learning and understanding you with you, that's really nice that you've got a circle of friends like that.
Definitely. And it's even like some of my good friends that I work with as well. They've done research about it to see how they can help me better and understand it. And I think that that's like, little things like that make a huge difference. And I think that I would always say to people around someone with ADHD, I don't know any different. So to me, I'm just never mind. I don't realize the carnage or the chaos that I might leave or the trail I leave, and actually having your team around you, the people around you, can make your life so much easier by having that understanding, having that compassion. That it's not, you don't have to battle this on your own. You don't have to feel like this is a life sentence. This is actually, I do think it's a superpower when you have the right people around you, the right coping mechanisms to manage life. It's a game changer.
Yeah, so it is helping you in your business and your friendships and your relationship as well. Like, has that improved quite a lot as well, your marriage?
Yes, definitely. I think it's also removed the. It's funny. I see a lot of when people talk about like relationships with someone with ADHD. It's like the parent-child sort of comparison. And I think I look back, it was definitely more like that pre-diagnosis. I think now having a diagnosis, we're able to manage it before it needs to get to the Ellie mothering me. So we've definitely found, like, because I hate being nagged, and I think again that's another thing that I can't. If someone nags at me, I push against. That's just natural. So I think now I'm definitely not. Ellie doesn't nag me at all, really. Now she's actually putting things in my mind to remind me. It's like I'll forget something, I get the message, and I'm like, she knows that she would have nagged me because I wouldn't have done it, but she knows I'd forget, so she's set a reminder herself and then texts me.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Like the
she's actually a saint
preventative
when I say it
measures.
like that. Yeah,
For anyone who doesn't know as well, that parent-child dynamic and also the different ones, so you've got the parent, the adult, and the child ego, that's all transactional analysis related. So if anyone wanted to look into that, those are the keywords, transactional analysis. So we enter any conversation or any communication from one of these ego states, and we want to be in the adult ego state. It borrows information from the parent and the child ego states, and it forms a response instead of a reaction. So that's the healthiest communication, is two people entering as their adult egos. But as you said, if one person gets triggered into one of their other egos, it can trigger the other person into a different one as well. So sometimes with ADHD, especially as you say, if you get rebellious when someone nags, nagging is someone going into their parent ego and you become a rebellious child ego state, and then it causes conflict and it causes this kind of like tennis of like
I'd never heard it put like
rebellion.
that, but yeah, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, so that's something that I've learned, and I teach people as well, but I find it really interesting, and it helped a lot of my communication skills when I realized this as well. And even speaking to my parents, because obviously they are my parents, they're going to be in their parent ego state most of the time, and they trigger me into my child state, and I just have to kind of bring myself out of it. And to do that, you just have to create a little bit of space to stop reacting and respond instead. So if you give a little
Yeah,
bit of space, whether it's leaving the room or taking a breath or just saying, wait a minute, I'm overstimulated, or don't talk to me right now, I'm in a bad mood. It just creates that little bit of space, and then you come back later and go, sorry, what did you want? What did you need?
yeah. I think
I do that all the
it's
time now.
that's something I've heard a lot more as well, as learning to respond rather than react. And I think that that's something that I've probably had to learn, and I'm still learning now because I'm very reactive. I think so. That could be a downfall of mine where everything's just bang, 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 bang. But I'm trying to learn to respond and pause a little bit better, which is definitely getting better. It's a work in progress, though.
I think that's something a lot of people with ADHD have, is the reactivity, especially if you're hyperactive as well, because your brain will go so
Yeah,
quickly that you'll be very quick to respond. So you'll just have that heightened emotion and suddenly say something, and then you'll be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said
yeah,
that.
that's it. Yeah, and everyone looks. I can't believe they just said that. Yeah.
You're like, never mind.
Can we
Can't take it
can we
back.
rewind 10 seconds?
Yeah. But it's hard when you struggle with emotional regulation. You will get snappy sometimes because you just can't bring yourself back down. So if you
Yeah.
get like heightened senses, you get like a bit angry or a bit sad, and you're just like, ugh, frustrated. And then you will be snappy. If someone comes at the wrong time, you can't always help it. But then it's just a case of being aware of that and doing your best to respond instead of react.
Yeah, I think that that's another thing that I think probably Ellie has learned, is to give me space when she recognizes that I need it, because she knows that I probably wouldn't. create the space myself, and I would just react. So it's definitely that's made a difference. Even the same with the team I work with now, they've learned to recognize actually Ryan just needs space before he reacts at something, and it definitely makes a huge difference having the right people around. Because in the past, I think they would have probably maybe tread on eggshells is a bit extreme, but they would have been coming in and asking things, worrying if I was going to react in the wrong way. Whereas now they're like, I can tell Ryan's overstimulated. He definitely needs his space, and they just need me in my office.
That's good then. You have the time that you need, you have the space
Yeah,
that you need, and then, like I said, later on you can come
that's
back
it.
and go, sorry, what did you need? I'm here now.
That's it. We'll pretend it never happened.
I've ticked off my list and now I have time for other things.
That's it.
So, with your business, is it something that you always knew you wanted to do?
No, I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think I was always quite lost. I was a late teenager, a bit getting in and out of a bit of trouble. My parents were like, you can't carry on like this. We need to sort you out. You're not stupid. You're an intelligent young man, but you're going to go down the route of getting yourself into more trouble. So that's why I joined the army. And the army definitely helped me grow up. I had to. And then when I left the army, I wasn't sure what I wanted. Tried retail, and I got promoted quite quickly. I've always been driven to work, but then my age, because I was only like 20 at the time, limited me from progressing further, I think. So then I tried finance, and that was probably the worst 5 months of my life. Trying to get me to sit down and focus was just. They One thing they did say is they'd never had such a good tea boy, because I was so keen to make the tea and coffee, because it meant I had 10 minutes away from my desk that I could go and chat, and I could, and that. So it was always a running joke in there that was like, yeah, when I handed my notice, and I don't think anyone was surprised. They just said, not that you couldn't do the job, you were just, yeah, not suited to office life. Then I went down the fitness side of things, but I've always struggled a little bit with authority. And I think that if I want to do something, I want to do it my way. And then that's what led me to sort of start running my own business. And then I've always been ambitious. We brought the world's fastest growing boot camp franchise to Jersey, and that went from nothing to like 5 locations in 18 months. And it probably, again, it's a bit of the hyper focus on it. But again, burnout was something that I've experienced at different points in my life. But I think that was definitely a big burnout, where then my mental health crashed, and I, yeah, couldn't do it anymore. But I knew I needed to find something that would help me deliver my passion, because I do genuinely want to help people live a happier, healthier life. And I met Ellie when I was in the fitness industry, and she was like, "We just need to find a way for you to be able to use that passion and that thing that you love, that we can do together, where it's balanced." And then it was actually her that found the thought of going online, because I think 10 years ago when we set up online, no one was online. It was quite new, quite a new concept. People were saying it would never work, husband and wife working together. But yeah, now they're asking us how we do it.
Yeah, and the key is to be best friends and yin and yang and balance each other out.
That's it, exactly.
And also to believe in each other. It sounds like she really believes in your passion and your vision, and can help you with that, and then you can help her with it too. So that does sound like a really good partnership you've got there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So what you do is just online fitness coaching. Did you go back to doing the boot camps at all?
So yeah, so when we moved back to Jersey, so we were in Liverpool for 2.5 years where we set up online. When we moved back to Jersey, we set up a boot camp, and then we've now got a health club as well. So that's got like a gym, sauna, steam room, pool. But the main part of what we do is online. So, and it's a
Yeah.
lot more holistic than just a gym and a workout. I think, we talk about like mindset, we talk about habit forming, rather than it just being about giving someone a workout. It's much more, let's look into your life and how do we improve your lifestyle so that you get, yes, it might be physical results. A lot of them is actually about getting more life satisfaction in what they're doing and feeling better about themselves.
I always say things need to break down before they can be rebuilt. So it sounds like you've done a full circle and it's better than it was before even.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Not that you want to break down, nobody wants to do that, but
But I do think for me, and this is something that will sound weird. It's probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it knocked the ego out of me, and I was like, actually, do you know what? We're all the same, and it also helped me start to become a lot more me. I didn't have to be this act anymore. I wasn't trying to be this big macho. I'm covered in tattoos, and at the time was a bodybuilder. In my head, I had the whole belief of people like me don't suffer with mental health. So actually, everyone can suffer with mental health, and now it's given me more understanding, and I'm able to help other people that have their slight struggles that I can try and direct them in the right way, and I can show them tools that's helped me. And they're like, I'm not just spouting something out that I've read. It's like, actually, I genuinely get it. There's limits to what I can help you with, but actually, this is what's worked for me. It might help you. They're not
Yeah,
they're not worried about judgment.
absolutely. And like you said, like everyone has mental health. Like you can struggle with it, you can have healthy mental health. It's the same as physical health. You have to look after it and do the right things to nourish your mental health, your spiritual health, emotional and physical. Like you've got all those things to think about and look after, but it's just always neglected, I think, is the problem.
Yeah, 100%. We sort of assume that I don't need that. I don't need to worry about that. And prevention's actually better than cure. So doing things that you know are going to keep you in a good headspace mentally will make a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. So before we go, I just have one question. If you could give one piece of advice to your past self, what would it be?
I don't know if it's advice, but like the words I'd give them is it's going to be okay. The words I give myself, and I feel like I could cry when I talk about it, but I think like I look back to me 10 years ago, I didn't think it was going to be okay. I genuinely was like, there isn't going to be a way out of this. This is just how I'm going to be. It was like people talk about a dark hole. It wasn't a hole. There was nothing at the top. I was just, I couldn't see any light. And I think that if I could have just told myself everything's going to be all right, this is going to work out, I think it would have just changed me in that second, but I just couldn't see it. Um, I think that's probably what I would have said. Does that answer the question? Or
It does, yeah, of course it does. And I've been there as well. I know how it feels, and I know a lot of people that also know when you are stuck in that dark room and there's no windows, there's no doors, and you don't know how to get out. It is good
yeah,
to know that where we are now, we can look back and say, we are going to be okay. And once you've been through it as well, it builds that resilience so that you know if you've been
yeah,
there and now you're okay, no matter what happens, you can always tell yourself you will be okay. No matter how you get
yeah,
there, you don't always know, but you will be okay. So I think that is an important message. Yeah.
yeah. Love it.
So thank you very much for speaking to me today. It's been a really good conversation and sharing your story. It's good to know where you are now and how things have been improved since your diagnosis. And thanks for sharing everything.
Thank you very much for having me.
No worries. Take care.
Thank you.